Hey guys, it is Christine. Welcome to another video here on my channel. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're having a good day. If it is your first time here, I am a homeschooling mom of 3. My eldest will be turning 6 in March of 2021, and then I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So we have done about a year and a half of homeschooling to date and are going into our second full year, and I share homeschool content here on this channel and our homeschool journey. So if that's something you're interested in, then please go ahead and subscribe and follow along. Today I'm going to be sharing my goals and intentions for 2021. I am not somebody who usually sets like a lot of, I never do resolutions because I just don't agree with like the whole premise of them. But I am somebody who likes to have goals, or at least like to sort of have a refresh and just really analyze what did and did not work in the year previous and what I would like to focus on going forward. So I have aspirations for this year that are like big things, but as far as like things that I can work on a daily basis, that's what I'm going to be sharing today. And they aren't all specific to homeschooling, but they will be incorporated into our homeschooling, and they will certainly affect our homeschooling in one way or another. So I hope that maybe this can be encouraging to you. And somebody who does this all the time, who shares these kinds of videos all the time, is Abby from Rooted in Rest. And I always just appreciate them because she's so honest and forthright with her shortcomings and where she would like to be and what she would like to do better. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate that she holds herself to a high standard, to a biblical standard, but is also realistic in that she's human, you know? So it's encouraging, but also uplifting at the same time. And that's kind of like my perfect combination. I don't necessarily love to follow people who are always like, you know, you're a mess and you're not doing anything right. And that's okay. You don't have to try. I'm like, yeah, you do have to try, you know, like, especially as a Christian, we are called to follow God. And while our salvation is not dependent on our works, we show our love for Christ through obedience to Him. And that requires action. And so a lot of these things affect my family and our home. And for me, I feel as though I am called as a woman to be keeper in the home. And so I guess essentially this is my obedience to Christ. And I know that I'm not going to get 100% on it, but I certainly hope to try better this year. So the first goal that I have for this new year is an ordered home. And this is kind of something that's really fallen by the wayside over the last few months. One, because we're in our summer break, and so we really don't have a heck of a lot of routine going on in our home. I was also really burnt out at the end of last year, and so I kind of let things go. And when I talk about order in the home, it's not just having like a routine to our day. It's also about giving my children a bit more responsibility. Obviously like age appropriate responsibility, but they certainly are capable of making their own beds, brushing their teeth. Okay, maybe my 2-year-old, obviously not, and they do need supervision for these things, but they are capable of doing a lot of it. And so I do have a chore chart, which we implemented. I was interrupted by a child, and now I've lost my train of thought. I was talking about chore charts. We have a chore chart, which I did use last year, and it worked really, really well for us. I just kind of got a bit lax about making sure it was enforced. And so that is something that is a focus for me this year, is just creating more special moments in the home. And I know just as a child, simple things like drawing the curtains at 4:30 in the afternoon when it's winter, a lot later when it's summer, but like 4:30 in the afternoon, setting the table for dinner, things like that create a lot of security for a child and just comfort. And I really want my children to feel that. And I also just think it's a good habit to be in. So that's a focus for me this year, is just making more intentional order in our home. My second goal actually goes very much hand in hand with the first one, and that is to have more intentional time with my children and less escaping. I am an introvert, and having 3 children talking to me 24/7 once, like, it makes me want to just escape. And I have to be really intentional about having more order in our home so that I get more of a chance to take a breather and let my brain breathe and re-energize so that I can be more intentional with my children. So that's kind of how it plays into the first goal. And I love having intentional time with my kids, whether it's reading with them or playing a board game or something like that. But oftentimes I've just been burnt out, and so all I want to do is, instead of spending that special time with them, I want to stick a movie on for them and I want to go hide in my room. And there are times where that's totally fine, and I don't think that that's wrong, but I don't want that to be my default, and I know that by having more order in our home and more intentional quiet time, then I will also be better at having intentional time with my kids. And also homeschooling really helps with that. So I feel like when we start up homeschooling again, that will be easier for me to implement because it's like I've dedicated that time to do that with my kids. I love reading to them, and we do a lot of that in our homeschooled, and so it will be easier once we've started up school again. My next goal is more scripture memory, and we did this last year, and then we kind of got lax at the end of the year, and I want to pick it back up. So 2 goals this year. The curriculum that we're using, A Year of Tells, has Bible verses for every week that they have. We're not doing it every week. We'll be doing it over like a couple of weeks. But they have a verse that you can memorize. And then our pastor just did a study in the adult Sunday school class about the different commandments in the Bible. And there were like 150. Was it 150 round number? I can't remember. It's around there. There's a lot. And he shared like the chapters where the bulk of those commandments are found. And so I want to work with my kids on memorizing those chapters because I just feel like that's so insightful for them and for myself. And so that is a goal I have for this year. Not necessarily to memorize all of those chapters because obviously my kids are really little, but to focus on maybe 1 or 2 and get that really well done this year. That's a big goal of mine. Along with that is my next goal, and that is to read through the Bible in the year. I've already started this. It was something I was thinking of last year, but I'm excited because there's like a group of mamas on Facebook and we're doing it all together. And I've read through the Bible a couple of times, but I haven't done it for several years now. And this is the year that I feel like I have the headspace to do that. My kids are all a little bit older. I don't have a baby waking me up in the night. And I just have a little bit more time. It's not that I have more time. I can just be more like my kids, go play outside. Mama needs to do this. Or I think I've also just given myself permission to not necessarily have quiet time, but to read the Bible whenever I can. Like, it's just the reality of being a mother is that you often don't have quiet times, and so you have to make it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be quiet, but you be intentional about having that time. And so that is something that I'm really looking forward to doing this year, or am enjoying. I'm already doing it. I'm using the Bible Project app. I use the King James Version, so I just follow along in my Bible, but I just follow their reading plan. And so far, I'm loving it. And then my final goal for this year is to have a more balanced workload. YouTube is not the only thing I do. I actually started out as a blogger about 3 years ago now. And is it 3 or 4 years ago now? I can't remember. I started with 1 blog. I now have 3 blogs and a YouTube channel. And so that requires a lot of work, but it can require less of me if I delegate and hire people to do stuff for me. And so that is something that I'm focusing on this year, is to just make it a bit more manageable for myself, so that I can be more present with my kids. And it's not just that, it's just so that I don't constantly feel burnt out. That is not a fun way to feel. I hate it. Like, I really, really hate feeling that way. And I want to be enjoying the time that I have with my kids, enjoying homeschooling, and not feeling so stretched thin over everything. Because I actually love my work, and I love homeschooling, and I love being a wife and a mother. But when you mix it all together, sometimes it all just feels like work. And I don't want it to all feel like work all of the time. And so that is the goal this year, is just to find a better balance between everything and to make sure my priorities are straight. Like, it just is wife, mom, homeschooling, work. Like, that is the level of stuff, and the priority it falls in. So that is kind of something I've just had to really think about and be intentional about this year. Anyway, those are my goals. I would love to hear what your goals are for 2021. I do have other aspirational things that are less goals and more prayer requests that I'm praying for this year. And if those get answered this year, not that God won't answer them, but if he says yes this year, let's put it that way, I will share those with you openly. But right now, there's just stuff I'm praying about. And I hope that you have prayer requests like that this year that are like big things that only God can do. And yeah, share what you want in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, I think that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
The world had more of your smile. What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no wars.